Coverage of this nationwide bomb scare continues, and we turn now to the climate for these current events. A tense political mood with this election 2 weeks away, and a president who, let's be clear, goes further than most public officials in directly praising and encouraging violence. Now, as we have stressed throughout our coverage, we do not know the suspects or motives for today's attacks. The authorities haven't released that kind of information. But we do know that Donald Trump fans the flames of political violence and praised an illegal assault on a journalist as recently as last week.
He's walking out like big high fives, smiling, laughing, like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Get him out. Try not to hurt him. If you do, I'll defend you in court. Don't worry about it.
When you see these thugs being thrown into the back of a paddy wagon, you just see them thrown in, rough. I said, please don't be too nice.
Any guy that can do a body slam, he's my kind of...
That last reference is to a Republican candidate who pled guilty to assault for attacking a reporter. He actually got a 6-month deferred sentence. Experts note there has been a series of violent events in American politics recently. The so-called Pizzagate shooting in Washington 1 month after the 2016 election. The shooter responding to right-wing fake news conspiracy theories about a pizza shop there, or the white supremacist who rallied in Charlottesville where James Fields killed Heather Heyer with his car. He actually goes on trial for first-degree murder for that next month. Or then there's James Hodgkinson, who shot Congressman Steve Scalise and a police officer. Hodgkinson had railed against Republican members of Congress on Facebook. Now, again, we know far more about those past incidents than today's, since the suspect and motives for these packages remain unknown. But some of the people closest to at least one of today's incidents are confronting this wider climate regarding violence. CNN President Jeff Zucker saying this, brand new, quote, "There's a total and complete lack of understanding at the White House about the seriousness of their continued attacks on the media." I'm joined now by former Democratic Senator Barbara Boxer of California and a Republican strategist, Mike Murphy. He's advised several presidential campaigns, including John McCain and Jeb Bush. My thanks to both of you at what is obviously a serious time for the country. Senator Boxer, I begin with you, and the caveat, there's much we don't know, but do you think the CNN president there, Jeff Zucker, a colleague of ours, a competitor of ours, has hit the right point in confronting the White House over rhetoric tonight?
I'm very proud of him because he's going up against a president who has a very large following in this country, who says the press is the enemy of the people, and as you pointed out, praised a congressman who actually assaulted someone from the press. Look, Donald Trump has weaponized politics with names attached. And every one of those people, individuals, who this person tried, or people tried to attack, those people have been named by Donald Trump over and over. You've heard it, you've seen it, lock her up, she's low IQ. It goes on and on. President Obama, he still doesn't think he's a citizen, and all the rest. It goes on and on. He weaponized politics, he named the names, including CNN. And yes, I think it was good that the head of CNN stood his ground. It took Donald Trump days to say, oh, yeah, the Saudis shouldn't have done what they did to Khashoggi. I mean, this goes on and on. It's a moment. And either we're going to grab this moment and understand it for what it is, that it's a very serious time, and every single person should vote. I don't care whose side you're on. It doesn't matter to me. You have to have an opinion about this one way or the other. Put it in the calculation. Get out and vote.
Mike, we showed earlier in our broadcast what the president said today, that there is no place for this in our politics. Here is, though, what he has also said about CNN as a, quote, enemy, which is this kind of violent rhetoric, an enemy of the people. Take a look.
CNN is terrible. You people do not cover us accurately.
Attacking our news organization. Can you give us a chance?
Your organization
you are attacking our news organization. Can you give us a chance to ask a question, sir?
They have been fake news for a long time. They've been covering me in a very dishonest way.
You know, the enemy of the people, I call them.
Now, I want to be as broad as I can, Mike. Plenty of politicians do tussle with the press. But when you see something like today, well, we don't know yet what the authorities will determine about what happened. Is it time for the president to go further than saying this has no place and to also retract those kind of attacks?
Well, words on a 3x5 card probably written by his staff are too little. We have a certain set of shared values that hold our democracy together, and the main one is we solve our political choices. We express ourselves with votes, not violence. And we've had this increase of political violence that is incredibly corrosive to the system. It's not what we're built on. And as a Republican, I'll say the president's public comments about institutions like the media, about his political opponents, have been way out of line for a long, long time. So the president said the right things today, but action is what counts. And when you are the head of state, as he is, you have a responsibility to tamp down this sort of thing, not act in a manner that brings more rage to politics and, frankly, encourages both sides to become brawlers in a cheap reality show that can only trickle down and affect people who might be inclined toward violence. So, look, this is a crisis beyond Republican versus Democrat. This is a cultural crisis, and the president ought to be a leader instead of somebody whose behavior has actually made it worse.
Senator Boxer?
Well, yeah, he's been a leader and taking us in the wrong direction. When you think of the great leaders we have had from both political parties, I call to mind Abraham Lincoln, the better angels of our nature, appealing to the best in us. George W. Bush, after 9/11, looking at the camera and say, this isn't about someone who worships Islam. These were the moments. And I could name many others. But this president, no way. He did read his statement, off the teleprompter. It reminds me of all the things he's done in the past that he never wanted to do, that he had to read it. This is a guy who stands in front of the helicopter and just waxes on and on and on. Didn't he have it in his heart to say something meaningful with some kind of emotion that two predecessors of his actually were attacked? I mean, it's just, I'm stunned. It is a moment for the nation. It's too late for this guy to suddenly become a unifier. That's the biggest joke in the world. I hope he would do it. He's going to a political rally tonight. Maybe he'll tell everybody he's sorry for all the things he said. We'll see.
And briefly, Mike, what would that entail? I mean, Senator Boxer makes the important point. Any other president, you would think, would have taken today to make a point of naming and extending consideration to people who may have been political opponents at one time, but who are former presidents facing very credible efforts to harm them or the people who protect them, who, of course, are these brave men and women of the Secret Service.
Of course. Look, absolutely, his words could get better. But with Donald Trump, I'm not that interested in his words during one moment in time. I want to see repeated actions. I want to see him start acting like a president and understand his role. And that's something only the next week will show us, beginning with that rally tonight. So rather than parse today's statement, I think the burden of proof is now on the president, who has been a real outlier on, look, I'm a political fighter. I've happily run campaigns beating Democrats for a long time. Sometimes the rhetoric gets a little harsh, but we're in a whole new world here. And the president is the amplifier that has created this new tone in American politics. It's up to him to act in a sustained way to put it back in the bottle. So that's the test. I can't say I'm optimistic he'll rise to it, but maybe he will. And that would politically benefit him tremendously, too. It would prove he's actually capable of being a president in the larger sense than just a partisan brawler from a reality TV show.
Well, look,
hey, Ari, could I jump in for just a second?
Sure.
I just disagree with this. If you can't speak from the heart, when something like this happens, and this is unbelievable what has happened here. What if those bombs had gone off? That's the moment you speak from the heart. That's the moment you throw away the teleprompter. That's the moment you look at the camera. So, yeah, I hope tonight he can do something good. I think he certainly needs to put all the resources into finding out who did this. I trust this will be a real investigation at the local, state, and national level. We will find this out, and those are the people who are responsible. But you cannot run away from the fact that the leader of our nation has weaponized politics and attached names to it.
Well, as you say, we're speaking on a night where Americans are taking in these attacks. We don't know all the facts, but we know the targets are the people who serve in government, people who served as president, the people who protect them, as I mentioned, the Secret Service, and our colleagues and competitors in the free press. That's an attack on a lot of symbols of America for sure. And so we've heard, I think, very good points from both of you coming from different parties, Senator Barbara Boxer and Mike Murphy. And we appreciate that tonight. We'll reflect on some of what you said. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.